Hello everyone and welcome to the Cherry Heart podcast. This is episode 78. I'm Sandra and this is a crafty podcast featuring crochet, knitting and sewing mainly. You can find the show notes for this podcast on my blog, which is cherryheart.co.uk, and just click the podcast tab, or I will link the show notes for this episode directly below if you're watching on YouTube. You can also find me on Instagram as Sandra Cherry HRT and around the web as Cherry Heart. So how are you? I'm very well. It's cold here today. It's very cold. It's taken a cold turn and it's all frosty and it's quite pretty out in the garden. I always think it looks quite nice when it's frosty because it looks all wintry and sort of encrusted and nice, but without the hassle of having snow. So yeah, it's kind of quite nice really. I think I took a little bit of footage just outside so you can see. Not that you don't know what a frost looks like, but I don't know. Everything's looking quite nice at the moment. The sort of leaves have all turned their lovely golden colours and orangey colours. And they're starting to really fall off now, so it won't be long and they'll be gone completely. But it looks quite pretty at the moment. And can't really see much of that in my garden, although it does look reasonably colourful. But anyway, I thought I'd shove it in. I've got some vloggy stuff and I'll put it at the end as I always do. I just normally forget to mention it, but I've remembered, so I thought I'd say it this one time. But anyway, it's got all cosy up here. By the time I'd sort of looked around the house and faffed about finding my bits to show you, it's actually got my little heater on and it's got quite nice and cosy up here now. So we're good to go. So before we get into all the crafting chat, I'm just going to do a quick bit of podmin. So that means just quickly talking about this. I know if you've been here before I've mentioned this a lot, so I'm just going to be brief and just say that if you don't know, that this is my Nature's Walk crochet along blanket, and the crochet along has been running, but it's now finished. All the parts of the pattern are now out. Part 8 came out, was it last week? I think so, yeah, last week, which was the border. So now all the lovely finished blankets are popping up in my feed, so that's just so lovely to see. So thank you so much to everyone who took part, everyone who brought a pack, everyone who shared their pictures, everyone who came up with their own gorgeous colourways. Yeah, just thank you for being a part of it all. And although like the official part of the calendar is finished, in a way it feels like it just isn't really finished because, you know, there's so many people that don't actually keep up with it week by week rigidly, you know, because it's just so hard to do, isn't it? So a lot of people are still making their squares, some people are just joining them, some people are actually holding on because there's a completely free pattern, so you get 6 different square designs, you get all the information about how to set up for it, you get all the information about the joining, you get the border, and there's also charts for those 6 squares, just for the squares, just to be clear. Yeah, so that's a free pattern. Anyone can just go along, download that, use whatever yarn they want, and that's all cool. But there's also yarn packs. And with those yarn packs, we did an extra 6 squares, so the bonus squares we call. So those are another 6 designs, so you'd have 12 altogether to add into your blanket. Just to sort of, you know, have another sort of element to it. So lots of you brought lovely yarn packs and got those bonus squares, so thank you ever so much for that. But now the crochet along is over, so the bonus squares were exclusive to the yarn packs for the duration of the crochet along and slightly beyond as well. So the only way to get the bonus squares during the cal and still at the moment is through those yarn packs, because obviously me and Black Sheep Wools, who sell the yarn packs, we work together on this. This is kind of a joint project because it's such a massive project, there's such hard work. It's, you know, you can't, well, I couldn't really do it certainly without their support and help. So, you know, to be fair to them as well, it's an exclusive thing for them for a little while. But anyway, the point being that now the crochet along is actually finished, and once the exclusivity ends, I can release the bonus squares just as a separate PDF pattern. So it will be paid for pattern. So you still get them free with the yarn packs. But if you know, if you're sort of on the other side of the world, or you can't order a yarn pack from the UK, or just you want to use different yarn, even if you are in the UK, whatever your reason is, if you don't want a yarn pack, you want to sort of get your own yarn, but you do want the bonus patterns, then you will be able to now buy those separately, if you would like to. Well, I say now, it's not now. It will be in the new year is when I'll be releasing them. Yeah, so I just wanted to update you about that all the free pattern is available and the bonus squares will soon be available to buy. So that will be in January, but I will keep you posted. So after Christmas, I'll sort that out and fill you in about that. And then the other thing I wanted to say, now that that's all out of the way, I've got another little bit of excitement coming, or I think it's exciting anyway, I hope you do too. And it's Cherry Heart's Christmas presents. So I've got some patterns that I've kind of had sitting like hanging around for a little while that I haven't got out, and they were either sort of little magazine commissions I did or little things that I worked up, and for one reason or another they haven't actually been released yet. So they've been in their magazines some time ago, but I hadn't actually got them out as separate patterns. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to release those over the run up to Christmas. So it's going to be sort of like an advent calendar, but not in the sense of like there's not going to be 24 patterns, but like in the sense of, you know, lighting the 4 candles in the 4 Sundays before Christmas. So it'll be like that. So there'll be 4 patterns probably. There might be more. I haven't completely formulated it yet, but probably 4, or at least 4. Let's say that. There'll be at least 4 patterns. I won't actually release them on the Sunday, even though that's when the candles would be lit, because that just won't fit in for me. Our weekends at this time of year get way too busy, so that won't work. So I'll probably release them on the Friday before, or sometime during the week anyway, and it might start just before December, it might start at the end of November. Just wondering how far on this planning am I? If I'm organised enough by the time I've edited this, I'll pop some dates up here. If not, you just have to keep an eye out. You know, I'm on Instagram, Sandra Cherry HRT. I'll pop it on there. I'll pop it on the blog, cherryheart.co.uk, and hopefully I'll get a chance to come on here again and tell you before. But yeah, if that's something you might be interested in, then keep an eye out for that. But what it's going to be is like, I don't know if I'm interested yet, you haven't really told me enough, so let me tell you a little bit more. So I've got these 4 patterns, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do offers on them. So some of them will be free, some of them will be free for a limited time, and some of them might just be a discount depending on sort of the pattern and how complex it is and things like that. So yes, so definitely there's going to be a time limit on it. So they're either going to be out free and they will stay free. They'll either be out free and it will just be for a little while, so get it before it becomes a chargeable pattern, or it will be a paid pattern, but there will be like a really nice juicy discount on it, but that will just be for a limited time. So it's just going to be a case of just keeping your eye out, and if the ones that appeal to you, because you know not everything's, maybe not any of them will appeal to you, who knows, but if there are some that appeal to you, you want to kind of get in there in that nice early get it while it's free or get it while it's discounted bit. So that's why I'm kind of giving you a little heads up so that you know it's coming. Right, now I've explained it. I'm not going to actually tell you what the patterns are, although there might be some hints coming on Instagram. Certainly. And there might be some bits in there that you can perhaps rustle up for Christmas gifts, maybe. So that might be handy. Yeah, let's crack on with it, shall we now? Let's crack on with the rest of the podcast and I can tell you what I've been making. Where shall we begin? I can't really remember what I've done since I spoke to you last. It feels like a long time again. Whenever I leave it more than just like the every other week, it's hard. I don't know why. So I don't know why I do that. But anyway, yeah, so I can't remember what we were talking about last time. Oh, well, let's just start with a silly little something, because I do remember I was showing you mushrooms. So first I crocheted up pumpkins, then I crocheted up some mushrooms. I was saying I've had the little, sorry if you're new, by the way, welcome if you're new, and hope you enjoy it. But if you are new, I'm just going to regress so you know what's going on. But if you were here before, you will remember I was talking about a little glass, I think terrarium type thing, but it's a weird sort of angular one with kind of point at the top. Anyway, I was thinking I could do some little crochet mushrooms and make a little autumn scene in there. So I crocheted up some mushrooms, and I kind of crocheted up like a little base thing to put them on, and I sewed them on, and it just looked hideous and ridiculous and borderline obscene. So it wasn't good. So I've abandoned that. Husband thought it was absolutely hilarious, by the way. Anyway, I made these sort of little ones to accompany it, and I just thought these were quite cute. So I've kept these, and I'm afraid the rest have just gone, because once you've seen a thing in a certain light that isn't favourable, sometimes it's hard to get past that image. So that's where I'm at. So that's the first one I did, and then I did this one, which I think might be even cuter. But these are, I'll have to put the pattern down, I'll put the link in the show notes because I can't remember what it's called. I don't know if they're just called mushrooms or whatever, but they're by Matt of Boy and Bunting. Although I say that, basically I went and looked at the pattern and thought that would be lovely, and then didn't actually, sort of got the basic idea of it, and then didn't actually refer back to the pattern again. So I can't remember what yarn he actually specified. So I made this with 4-ply, but I may have sort of added rows and things to make the size I wanted, so I can't tell you exactly. But anyway, the idea of it is his idea, so it's his pattern, and I just possibly adapted it, I'm not sure. But yes, but they're quite cute, and I just stitched some little, you know, stitched some little spots on it. This one looks a bit flat at the top, which I don't like. Why do you go all flat at the top? It's supposed to sort of come down over it like that, I think is what I was trying to achieve. But actually it just makes the top come flat. Yeah, I liked how he did his sort of underneath in the white as well, and then I thought that looked quite nice. So I like that idea of his. So yes, so those were by Boy and Bunting, Matt, and I shall put the link down below. And I'm repeating myself now. So that's a sort of finished object. Two teeny tiny finished objects. And I've been doing a bit of sewing lately, actually. So of the things I've done, it's probably more sewing things. Just looking around at what I've got. Yes, so I had a request for a little heart. This is from my nan. My mum sort of said she had one and it was getting all just a bit tatty and flea bitten, and had it. And it's just like a little decorative thing. It's got a little hook on it, and it's got lavender in it. So it smells quite nice. But yes, so she had this sort of little padded heart, but Mum sort of said, well, could you make her another one? It's a nice little Christmas present. So I did. So I made a little patchwork squares on the front of it. And these are all her sort of favourite colours, pinks and purples, sort of dusky pinks and purples. And then I've just got a plain one on the back. And then a little hanging loop and just a light little lace ribbon, I thought showed it off quite nicely. And just a little pouch of lavender sitting there. I was going to quilt it, but then I thought with the lavender in, I wasn't quite sure the best way to go about that, quite frankly. And I thought, I think it looks okay like this. So that's a little present for my nanny. So quite happy with that. A Christmas present made. I wasn't actually particularly planning on making Christmas gifts, but as it turns out I've made quite a lot for me, because I don't really normally get into that. Like, I might do one thing or maybe two if, you know, if a sort of something crops up that I think will be obviously nice for that person. Yeah, but anyway, that's by the by, you don't need to know about that. So my other finished object is a bag. So again, if you've been here before, and this was a while ago, not sure when, last year? Maybe it was this year, but time goes so quickly, so it's probably last year. I made this bag. So this is using my stocky sock bag pattern, which is on Etsy. Not the embroidery and everything, it's literally just for a plain bag, more like this sort of thing. The instructions are for. And then you can have a pocketed version or a not pocketed version. But anyway, this isn't supposed to be an advert for my pattern. I was just showing you. So I made this one and I put this embroidery on it, which was quite nice. And then I thought I would make another. So I've made this one and I think I like it even more. I think I do. The only thing I didn't really realise is when I drew the embroidery and did all the flowers, it's not quite as densely packed as this one. But actually, these flowers are very tall and these flowers are a bit more, it just feels like it's more in proportion for the bag. So actually, and the colours, I just think I love it even more than I do the original. I hope the person who is getting it will also like it. But yes, there it is, and I put pockets in one side of this one, but I didn't put it in both sides because I find they can get a bit in the way if you're not careful. So I thought just one side so you can pop like stitch markers or a tape measure or just your pattern folded up in or something. Yeah, so that's sort of when it's boxed out. I'm trying to show you, just the flowers look more, I think it just, the whole thing looks more in proportion. And then I've got my little with love ribbon that I pop on there, 'cause I think that's quite a nice touch. Yes, but I'm very happy with that. The little bag twins. In my mind, this one is spring bag, and this one is summer bag. So maybe one day I shall also make autumn and winter bag. I don't know. But it'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? You could do sort of change the colours and change the fabric to sort of suit. I do quite like that idea. Yes, so that's another finished object. And I haven't sewn for such a long time. So partly I'm a little bit rusty, so I hope those things are okay. I hope they're made to a good enough standard for a gift. But also, I really enjoyed it. I've almost been resisting going back to sewing because I've been feeling like, oh, I haven't done it for so long and I'll be so rusty and it probably won't be enjoyable because I'll do things wrong and get frustrated. But actually, once I sort of got into it again, I really enjoyed it. And it's that reminder of, oh, it's so quick compared to sort of crochet or knitting sort of fast projects. And I've been working on sort of quite big or slow projects lately. It feels so instant and quick. So it's nice. So I've kind of got a bit of a sewing bug at the moment. And then my other gift, which I can also show you because I'm fairly certain, well, certainly the person who this is intended for will not watch it, so we're safe there. But I don't think her mum will watch it either, so I think we're safe all in all. Let me actually not put the name in. I've embroidered her name on the front, but I won't put that in because I haven't cleared it. Let me go back and show you. I think I'm going to have to stand up. So it's just, there we go. And there is another square's worth up there. Like I say, I just don't want to show the name off. So there you go. Oops. Oh, sorry about that. Just making a little quilt. It's actually for a little girl. Oh, sorry, I keep banging the safety pins. It's actually for a little girl. I'm hoping it doesn't look too babyish, because it would very well do for a baby, wouldn't it? Because I've gone quite pastely. But this is her favourite colour, this sort of aqua-y turquoisey colour. And then I pulled out, which I haven't got a lot of, so I pulled out some other fabrics that I had got in the sort of aqua turquoise. It's a bit more greeny, but that falls in. And then she likes pink as well, so I pulled some pinks and some purples in. So that's her favourite, and she likes pinks and purples too. So I've kind of pulled those colours, and I've kind of gone with just what I have in stash. So yeah, I hope she's happy with it. I hope she doesn't think that it's too babyish. I mean, she's 7 though. Oh gosh, when I say that and I look at this, it does feel right out. I am going to go with like a darker binding, and I was wondering about even putting the sort of, I've got to actually quilt it, you know, as you can see I've got it sandwiched up, I've got all my pins in. I've got to actually sew the quilting lines on. I was wondering about doing those in like the bold pink as well, to sort of make a feature of it. I don't know. I hope it's okay. It was requested by her mummy, and it was sort of a little bit of a last minute one, so I haven't sort of gone out and bought things especially for it, because we've already got her present actually. And yeah, so I thought I'll make it out of what I've got. Yeah, hopefully it'll be alright. I'm sure it will, because I know she likes those colours. And it's got, look, these little cats on the telephone. I'm sure she'll love that. Although she probably won't recognise that as a telephone, because you know, these modern children, it's just that little square you hold in your hand, isn't it? What's that weird contraption? Yeah, so that'd be interesting to see actually what she makes of that. Anyway, so that's another gift. That's a work in progress now, isn't it? I've moved on from things I've done into things I'm doing now. And that's all my, oh, and it's not all my sewing things. I've got another sewing thing. Should we talk about that as well? Get all the sewing things out of the way in one go? Out of the way, like it's horrendous. So, let's show you this. This is another sewing project. I've only just started this last night, and it's going to be an EEP project, as I always think of it. English paper piecing, so it's EPP. But whenever I see it written down, it just makes me think of EEP, even though that would be EEP. Best not to worry about details, I always say. Best to just blur over them and do what you want anyway. That's my philosophy. Yes, so I've been cutting out some hexagons, nearly said triangles, but these are not triangles, of all of these fabrics that I pulled the other day. And this is going to be something for me, because once I've got my quilt done, I think I'm okay for presents. I've done some other presents earlier. I've sent some other stuff out as well. I'm on the ball, man. Christmas wise, it just sort of seemed to happen that way. It just seemed to fall nicely that, you know, I was sort of like, oh, this would work as a present, or that would, and I'd already done them. So yeah, so it makes me feel super organised, although can't really take credit because it was accidental and not planned. I've got fabric things all down me now. This is my new cowl, which I'm just going to stop and talk about in case you ask, because I didn't make it. It's a shop brought thing, just in case you want to know. From Fat Face, just got it the other day, so they still have them there. They had them in lots of different colours as well. But I just really like it. It's a cowl, so I've got it wrapped around twice. But it's got tassels on. I mean, you know, that's like a shiny thing to a magpie, tassels to me, dangly bits to me. And I've thought about putting tassels on a cowl myself, you see. This is the thing. And I thought, well, will that work? Will they just get tucked under? I'm not sure. but it's definitely occurred to me as a thing to do, and I quite like the idea, but I didn't think it'd work. So when I saw it in the shop, I thought, well, they've done it, so it's, you know, it must be a legit idea. But I just thought I'd see. And yeah, I've kind of pulled them out deliberately so that you can definitely see them. You definitely have to be careful how you arrange it when you put it on to wear it, to make sure the tassels are seen. It's very easy for them to get hidden. So I don't think it really, in a way, it doesn't really work. But if you're careful and particular about these things, as I am about, oh, I want to have the tassels on show, then you can make them stick out. So I quite like that. And I was pondering the idea of making a cowl myself. I want to make one with minis held together with mohair. Probably not as big as this. It perhaps won't be a wrap-around one, but maybe, I don't know, I just want one that's quite long so it's snuggly. Yeah. So I'm thinking, you know, it crossed my mind to put tassels on that, or maybe not though. Now I've got this one, maybe. Anyway, that's by the by. I just saw this in the shop, and because it was had the, I just couldn't resist, and it feels amazing. It's so warm and soft, and it wasn't too expensive, so I didn't think so. Yeah, I probably should have had it as a Christmas present really. We were out Christmas shopping at the time, but I couldn't resist having it now, so anyway, that's all beside the point. Let's get back to my project. So I've cut out some hexagons in all of those different fabrics, and I found when I was going through looking for my English paper piecing bits and bobs, I knew I had cut out a load of hexagons. You can just buy these, I know, but I didn't realise that at the time. This was years ago. And you could sort of get this sort of thing in America, but it was only just coming over here at the time. Either that or I didn't know the right places to look because, you know, I wasn't so much into the sewing side. But anyway, yeah, I just cut a whole stack of them out, and I knew I'd kept them somewhere. So I've got like a little tin and my hexagons, and then this one is a bit bigger, so that's the hexagon actual size, and then I've got a bit with the seam allowance on. So all I do is just hold that on the fabric and just roughly chop around it. You can get like machines that cut out hexagons and things now, can't you? But this works, this is fine. And then when I looked through my little tin with my hexagon bits in, I found a few already made up that would be the kind of colours I was looking for. So I've got a few little pre-started hexes there. So I sew mine. I know you can just glue them now, I have seen that now. But when I sort of was teaching myself how to do it again and making sure I was doing it right, the tutorial I watched, it did them like this. And so I'm just used to this method. And to be honest, I quite enjoy it. I find it's a very slow thing, but I quite enjoy that. I find it quite therapeutic to just sit and sort of cut a stack of these out. Whoops, I'm chucking things. You know, to cut those out, and then I find it quite therapeutic to just sit and stitch these onto their little cards, and then finally to sort of put them together. I mean, you know, English paper piecing, that's how it works, I guess. Maybe you don't know, but that's what you do. You fold your fabric round your bit of paper, you stitch it or glue it into place, and then you can stitch the little shapes together, and then you pull the papers out of the back, and then you're left with your hexagon fabric. So it's good for sewing together awkward shapes, you see. You can do like squares or triangles or something easy on the machine, but it's quite hard to do hexagons on the machine. So yeah, so it's a very slow hand sewing project, but I really enjoy it. So I was just going to say about the tutorial I used. So when I first learnt to do this as a child, this technique my nan taught me, and she sort of said, oh, you have to sew them on. So she actually had you sewing through the paper, which I think is fairly common, to sew this fabric to the paper. just tack it, you know, loosely with big stitches and then put them together. And I was, you know, as a child, I was like, you know, sewing is slow. Sewing it twice is just inconceivably arduous. I can't have that. So I only sort of, you know, I sort of sewed together about 5 pieces and then thought, I'm never doing that again. But I am doing it again. Anyway, so when I found a tutorial to remind myself how to do it, the lady that had the tutorial just sews them through the fabric. It's not actually going through the paper, so you don't see the thread on the front at all. So you don't have to bother to go back to snip the tacks out. You can just leave them on the back because they won't be seen anyway. So I quite like that method. But as I say, you can get like fabric glue now, and people just glue them on and then just ease, you know, break the glue off, and that works. But her name was, I think it's Laurie, and I think it's Sewing Bee. It's quite a lot of years ago when I looked that up. I'll pop the link down in show notes, and I'll pop her blog name up here so that if that was total fabrication, then I will correct myself down below. But yeah, so I've got that on, so I'm sure that'll be a slow plodding project. I'm already kind of prepping for Christmas crafting, even though it's quite early. Because I've got a few of my gifts done, and I had to send a few bits off the other day. I feel quite sort of in that mode. I hope I'm not scaring you off by even mentioning the word, but it's coming, I'm afraid. Yeah, so I'm sort of feeling quite in that. You know how you always think, oh, it's Christmas, I'll have acres of time, I'll get so much crafting done, all I'll do is sit and craft, there won't be anything else to do. And then Christmas comes round, and of course, running around here, there and everywhere, and it's not quite that calm, is it, usually? But anyway, there's normally some time. Those nice days in between sort of Christmas and New Year can be quite good if there's not too much visiting to be done. Anyway, waffling off the subject again. So this will be a nice slow, soothing, snuggle up, comforting project to work on, which I am enjoying. Yes. Anyway, so those are all new things that you haven't seen before, apart from the mushrooms, which I had done some of. But I'm also gone back to, oh, actually, let's talk about this first, only very briefly. If you have been here before, you'd have seen this before, so this is just going to be a very brief update. And if you're new and you want to know more about it, I have done a blog post and I've talked about it on previous podcasts, and yeah, whatevs. So it's basically just this. It's my retro Granny Squares blanket. Granny is square, because it's based off my skirt that I made with Granny Squares, saying Granny ain't square, because I thought making a skirt out of like a granny style blanket was a bit slightly more off the regular use for grannies. So that was her not being square, and this is her just being a blanket and being square again. So Granny is square. Anyway, so I've joined all my squares on now. I have a complete blanket. Like the main bit of the blanket is actually complete, but I have to do a border. So I was waiting for some more of this lovely yarn to come. This is the Stylecraft, by the way. This is, well, I'm using Bambino and Bellissima. Bambino is just under a different label. Oh my goodness, incoherent. So Bellissima is an acrylic yarn, and it's the same as the Bambino, but the Bambino is branded like as a baby yarn, but it's exactly the same stuff, it's just the label that's different. I think this one is a Bambino colourway. It's sage. It's like their duck egg bluey colour, or I guess they think it's green because they've called it sage. I don't know, but it looks more blue to me. But it's my favourite. Yes, so now I've got this done, I've sort of set it aside for a while to hope some sort of border inspiration comes to me, because I haven't got any at the minute, and quite frankly I don't think that any's coming, so I don't know. I do want this done and finished this year now though. I kind of feel like it's been hanging around long enough now and I want to get it out of the way. So what started off as a slow project is now sped up and I just want it out the hair. But anyway, I have got some more yarn now, so I think I'll have to have a quick little experiment with border ideas so I can get that done and move on basically. So that's an update on that one. Hopefully I'll have a finished object to show you soon on that front. So now that I've done that, anyway, I've gone back to another work in progress, which is this fluff ball. So again, if you've been here before, you've seen this before, but it's just a little update on progress. Let's see if I can show it to you the right way up. So this is the Elton cardigan by Hoagie Locatelli and Hoagie Locatelli even. And when we last spoke, I'd done the sort of shoulders and the back, and I just joined under the sleeves, so I was sort of about here. And yeah, so now it's just about working back and forth in these gorgeous stripes. And obviously I have put it aside for a bit while I worked on the blanket, but oh my goodness, it's felt like a long time to get this far. These stripes are actually, you know, when you've got it all joined, it's really actually quite a long way round. And just changing the yarns for the stripes kind of slows you down a bit. I mean, it's not much of an excuse, but that's all I can think of. So yeah, I haven't really, although I love it, I love how it looks, I haven't really been too massively drawn to knitting on it because it feels like I knit for ages and I've like finished one stripe or something and it's all a bit ugh. But I love it and I want the finished item, so I'll keep chugging away at it. But yes, so the yarn is this blue, let me show you the bowl. Oh, I can show you it in the thing actually because I haven't broken into my second one yet. So it's a Mr. B yarn and it's going on a bear hunt on his Hiddleston base 4-ply merino nylon, and it's gorgeous and I love it. So I got this at Fibre East, and then this mohair is a gift from a lovely viewer of the podcast, and this is a Polish yarn in actual fact. See if I can just show you the label, which is there. So I've got a ball of this. Now this ball isn't quite as big as the mohair ball that was used in the pattern, so the yardage on this one is slightly less, but I just like this combination so much that I thought I'll just go for it anyway. So I think I probably will have enough mohair to do the body stripes, but I think I might run out and might not have enough to do the sleeve stripes. But I'll just do the sleeves solid, I think, and I think that'll be fine. It'll have to be, won't it? Because, you know, what choice do I have really? But I think it'll be fine. I hope it'll be fine. But yes, so I'm plugging away on that at the moment. And it feels like it's not a slog, it's not that it's unpleasant to do at all, it's just going back and forth, so it's nice and mindless. But I just feel like it's going slower than I want it to. I'm just looking at time and being aware that I probably need to speed up a bit. Although actually, I think that's probably it. I went to Nottingham Yarn Festival the other day with my lovely friend Sam, who is BETSYMAKE, who I'm sure you probably know, but if you don't know, she has a podcast, she's on YouTube, and she's got a gorgeous Etsy shop as well, so you need to go over and check her out. She's been doing some lovely yarns with fluff as well. Oh my goodness, the colours are gorgeous. I need some. Anyway, yes, so we went to Nottingham with her, and we're hoping to do a podcast together soon. So I'll probably save what I got and sort of show you, you know, we can talk about that when she she and I are together and podcasting together. Hopefully we're hoping to do that quite soon. So yeah, that would be good. I'm looking forward to that. So I think I will leave it there. Like I say, I'll put some of the vloggy bits on in a second so you can see those if you want to. The only other thing I normally talk about is patterns in progress, but we kind of already talked about that. So yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm done for today. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here with me, and I think that's it till next time. Okay, bye.